Hey all, it's Robyn from Water Moon Tarot, and I'm coming to you guys today to do the final, last video on my moon sign series. I'm so proud of myself for getting through the 12 signs, and I'm proud of my series. And we've come to the 12th sign of the Zodiac, which is Pisces. So we're going to be talking about the moon in Pisces. Pisces is a feminine sign and a mutable sign and a water sign. And Pisces is ruled by the planet Neptune. And the zodiac symbol of the Pisces is the two fish. So it's important to say that Pisces is a dual sign. There's another dual sign of the zodiac, which is a Gemini, because it's the twins, it's two. And Pisces is also two. And the symbol is the two fish that are swimming in opposite directions. So when we're talking about the emotional nature of the moon in Pisces, mutable, which is changeable, and the two fish swimming in opposite directions, we start to get a fair idea of where the moon in Pisces, their emotional nature, kind of looks like. The 12th sign of the zodiac is the final sign, and what that means is that whereas Aries, the first sign, is the baby, the 12th sign of the zodiac, Pisces, is the old man. And it's said that Pisces has lived and has a little bit of each sign before them, which makes them so in tuned with everyone, basically, because they've lived through each of the 11 signs that have come before them. So Pisces, being a water sign, is emotional, and I would say that of all the water signs, it is the most emotional, but it's mutable, so it's also changing. It doesn't quite have the strength of that Scorpio influence, let's say the other water sign, because Scorpio is a fixed sign, so there's more strength there to that water. And it doesn't quite have the strength of Cancer either, because Cancer is still a cardinal sign, which is the leaders of the zodiac. So Pisces' emotional nature is both highly intuitive, highly sensitive, highly understanding of human emotion, but highly fragile, very fragile. And when I mean fragile, I mean that they're so sensitive and they feel everything, and their sensitivities are so strong because they do understand all of the 11 signs before them. They have felt all of those qualities, all of those influences, all of those experiences. They understand others in such a deep emotional level that if they were to see somebody crying beside them, they literally feel that person's emotion themselves. They become, because they're like emotional sponges, they become the other person in order to understand, and they really do. And for that reason, it's very important for the moon in Pisces to learn to do self-care and self-preservation, and to learn some sort of form of detachment, because the moon in Pisces could very often get lost. Like the fish, the little fish swimming in this huge ocean, in all of the emotions of not only themselves but other people. So the moon in Pisces, which is the emotional nature, is like the little fish swimming in this huge ocean of feelings and emotions, and human suffering and human everything. And they really are feeling all of that all at the same time, and it can be very overwhelming for a moon in Pisces. They say it's probably one of the harder placements to have. Um, for the moon sign is in Pisces because of its over emotionality. Almost there's trouble seeing where they end and the other person begins. So they often get taken advantage of for that reason, because they are so in tune with how other people feel, and they're so sensitive, and they always want to help everybody because they do understand how they're feeling on like a personal level, because they feel it themselves. So very often they can get, like drained extremely easily because of all those feelings that they're feeling all of the time. So it's not hard to understand why the moon in Pisces very often loves to sleep and kind of detach. That's like their form of detachment. They love to like sleep or isolate themselves at home by themselves, because that's kind of the only way that they can get to the point where they're not part of somebody else. I know it's a hard kind of like, thing to wrap our heads around, but when you're so sensitive, to the point where moon in Pisces, they'll walk into a room full of people and they'll look around and they can literally understand just by looking at people and seeing, their, visually seeing their gestures, or the way that they're speaking, or the way that they're, their face, their facial expression. They understand how they're feeling. So that's a lot to take on for just like a human being, to go into a room and have all of these other energies kind of like entering in. So it's very, very important for the moon in Pisces to kind of like detach, and to kind of work on how to figure out what to do to, to put the effort into learning how to just be them, and to see how, where they end and other people begin. It's so hard for them, and they really do want to help everybody, and very often they are, magnets for broken people and magnets for people that need help, and they really are amazing at helping people because they do feel, the emotions of everyone. So they can often be, like counselors, or they can work in, a shelter, or, like they can be therapists, or something to do with, the emotions, where they're helping others, because, other people will say, I really feel comfortable telling you these things because I don't feel that you're judging me, and I feel that you really like understand. And it's true that the moon in Pisces really does understand, and for that reason it makes them amazing at helping people. But yeah, they do become drained because they want to do all of this for everyone, and they want to save, all of humanity, and it's just not possible for one person to do. So they need to learn boundaries. That's an amazing word for the moon in Pisces. Boundaries, which they don't really have. And that lack of boundaries, A, lets people, kind of like take advantage. B, has them drained. And lack of boundaries, in all areas of life, very often they can be over indulging in all kinds of things because of their lack of boundaries, and because of their extreme sensitivities, and everything affects them so deeply. They can overeat, they can overspend, they can overdrug, they can overdrink, they can very often, most addicts out there, and I'm willing to go out on a limb and say most addicts out there do have a strong Pisces influence, whether it be their sun, their moon, or rising sign, or a lot of houses in the 12th house, but that's getting into something different. But yeah, they have trouble dealing with the world, basically, because of how sensitive they are, and how, because everything affects them so deeply, so they're always seeking that escape, and they love to kind of dream, and that's the way they kind of detach as well from their reality. They're always seeking a way to kind of detach from reality, because they do feel all of the issues and turmoil of humanity and human suffering, and the status of the earth, and and all of its inhabitants, and it's just it's so much. It's really a lot, and so when you feel like that, it's completely understandable to want to escape and use drugs, or go to bed, and or stay by yourself and try to recharge your batteries, because it really is draining. So because they're highly intuitive, and because they're highly sensitive, it makes them amazing artists a lot of the time in some way. They could be writers, they could be painters, they could be sculptors, they could be whatever it is in the arts. They could be poets, musicians. There's a lot of creative types, anything creativity, because it's coming from the inside, and emotion a lot of the time. So many of the great artists of our time, and even previously, very often have the moon in Pisces, and they really do love to kind of escape through that as well, I think, and it also helps them to express how they're feeling, and in a different way. So that's really important. They're often very dramatic when it comes to their emotions. They take things to heart, and because they're so emotional, the littlest thing could kind of set them off into a huge depression, or whereas another side might experience the exact same thing. If somebody says something that's mean, or something, the other person will be like, oh, whatever, that person's douche or whatever, and the moon in Pisces is going to take that in an extremely difficult way, and they're going to kind of ruminate about it, and they take it so personally that very often they're depressed. They're depressed, and they isolate because of that reason. It's just a difficult placement for the moon. They're extremely romantic. They love love. Very often they see it through rose-colored glasses, because they really do see the best in everybody, even if it is sometimes a bit naive. It's funny, because that's the dichotomy too of the dual sign. They're naive in the sense that they really do see the best in everybody, and they always see the potential of everybody, and they can see the reason behind why people are what they are. And at the same time, they're so wise. They're the old man of the zodiac. They've lived so many lifetimes, and they've been through the entire wheel. They've been each one of these signs before, and they understand, and this and that. But it's so easy to be taken advantage of because of that kind heart that they have. They really do have that kind heart that wants to help everybody. So, yeah, that's extremely important to say. Their moods are very changeable, because of their emotions are very changeable, but sometimes their emotions don't even belong to them. I know for myself, if I'm in a situation that's very negative, even if I'm not feeling negative, if the people around me are being negative, that I'm feeling negative after, and I'm feeling drained after. And And I wish sometimes for myself that I could be more objective. And I think Pisces really needs to be more objective. And I think also Pisces needs to really stand their ground more, because very often they're pushovers, and because they see the best in people. You know, that's a good thing, and that's a beautiful thing, and it's very, humanitarian, and we want to help and things like that. But not everyone deserves that moon in Pisces kindness and, all in, dedication to helping, because not everybody is ready at that time to be helped, and not everybody, some people's actions warrant, putting your foot on the ground and, setting a boundary. And that's really important for the moon in Pisces. And that's definitely their lesson, to learn how to do boundaries, and to learn where they end and the other person begins, and to make sure that they really take care of themselves, because very often they're so busy taking care of other people, they'll, forget to pee or something like that, like the most basic, or forget to shower because their friend, and they stayed up all night for 2 days with their friend who was, devastated, or, so it's really, really important that they set those personal boundaries, make sure that they take care of themselves, self-care, and ask for help if they need help, which very often they don't do, because they're so busy helping everybody else, and they think that they're so unimportant compared to everybody else. Again, the 12th sign, everybody else comes before them, literally. That they forget that they have emotional needs as well, and actually huge emotional needs, because of their fragility. And so that's my moon in Pisces. We've got all 12 in the bag. Yay! Okay, I hope you liked the video. Like, share, comment, follow, and I'll be coming to you guys next with my new series. It's going to be, the Astrology 101. It's going to be super exciting. I'm really excited about it, and I love you guys, and bye-bye.